For 5 years, I was my district's go-to person for anything English learner related. I worked in a district that started getting an influx of English learners much later than the areas around us, so everything was urgent. On paper, I was an English learner specialist, but I was doing the job of an ELL coordinator without the title and honestly without the pay. I was answering questions, leading trainings, welcoming newcomers to buildings, planning next steps for the district, sitting in on special education meetings, and helping other teachers see the good things that they were already doing. Because they were doing great things. They just needed a few more tools and they needed to hear that they were on the right track. So that's why I made this channel, to give you those tools and to show you that you already have the right instincts when it comes to supporting your English learners. So let me tell you a little bit about how I got here. My very first job teaching, all but 2 of my students were English learners. Our district had no specialist, no ELD program, just us figuring it out. I fell in love with those kids. They were so sweet, so happy to be at school, and their parents were so supportive and so appreciative to have a teacher in their corner. There was one boy, I'll just call him Marco. He was high energy, and honestly, he was a big troublemaker. He wouldn't stay in his seat or keep his hands to himself. He'd shout things across the room. He was nowhere near fluent in English, and he was amazing. He made my day every single day. That first year, we really figured it out together. My students taught me some Spanish and laughed at my accent, which was totally warranted. We had no interpreter, so our custodian, who cared so much, interpreted my parent conferences for me and never got paid a cent for it. So looking back, I wouldn't tell you to do that now. Important conversations really do need a trained interpreter. But back then with nothing, I did whatever I could to connect with my families. Being in that school is what made me want to advocate for English learners. Even there, in a building where most of the kids were ELs, they still didn't really have a voice. I didn't have resources, but I had amazing students who soaked up everything. Kids who had the superpower of working towards fluency in more than one language. And I wanted to give them a voice. When I moved to a new district, I taught a grade that was not my favorite. I was tired and burnt out. I was Googling non-teaching jobs to do with my degree, which I'm sure nobody else has ever done. And I checked the district's openings just about every day. One day, there it was, an opening for a district EL specialist. I knew how much I loved working with English learners, so I applied. There wasn't even an interview. It was seniority based, and you had to have an EL endorsement, which was pretty rare to have at the time. So even without the most seniority, I got the job. The only thing they asked me is if I was comfortable working with teachers and training them, which I was. But here's the truth. Having that endorsement meant I knew the theory, I knew the book part, but I still had a lot of work to do when applying it with actual kids. So that first year, there was no roadmap. We just figured it out again. The next year, we all got assigned to different buildings and we were given real autonomy to grow. But one by one, the other 2 EL specialists moved on, one to a building and one into administration, and I became the district's EL lead. As our EL supports grew, the middle and high schools got their own EL people, and I was the one training and guiding them. The elementary schools leaned on the reading specialists who had EL tacked onto their job, with no real training for it yet. So I was holding it all together across the district, doing the coordinator's work, still without the coordinator's title or the pay. And that's when I really saw the whole picture. Every school, K-12, affluent and low income, they all needed the same basics of supporting English learners. It was the same no matter the building. And so was the worry. Teachers would always come to me saying, I don't think I'm the right teacher for this student. They were always wrong. They were exactly the right person. They just needed a few tools and someone to tell them they were already on the right track. The reason I made this channel is simple. The number of English learners in regular classrooms keeps climbing, and the number of teachers who feel prepared to support them hasn't kept up. Most teachers will get an English learner. Most teachers will not get real training. It's not that you're doing it wrong, you just were never handed the tools, and that part's easy to fix. The strategies aren't complicated. They're simple to learn, and they help every other student in the room too. I learned them the hard way over years. My whole goal is to get them to you in a way that takes minutes. You already have the instincts. I just want to fill in the rest. If you've ever looked at a student and thought, I don't know if I can give this English learner what they need, you can, and I'll show you how. Subscribe for practical, simple strategies to help you support your English learner students. And you don't have to do this alone anymore. You've got this.